Hello and welcome, dear participants. I am Ersin TURK, Associate Professor at the Department of City and Regional Planning, Faculty of Architecture in Karadeniz Technical University. I will be chairing this season. Once again, I would like to welcome you all to the 8th International Congress of LivenArch held in the city of Trabzon, Turkey. We are at the second day of this 3 days long scholarly online activity. The Congress aims to discuss two dynamics in relation with the concept of generations in architecture. The idea revolves around the process of regeneration and degeneration. The content of the Congress program shows that dual parallel seasons will be full of rich and enlightening proceedings. Now, in our turn, the theme here at the third season in room 2 has a fourfold conceptual framework: urban, city, landscape, and rural. We have 3 proceedings from 3 universities in Turkey. If no one has any other suggestions, let me give you some time. I will follow the order in the Congress program. I also suggest that we take questions and contributions from the audience right after finishing all presentations. Please write questions and comments in the chat box. We have 3 proceedings and 1 hour in total. 10 to 15 minutes will be optimal for each presentations, so that we have around 10-15 minutes for the discussion sections. So we are to go by first proceedings. Our first proceedings is by Mehmet Ali ALTIN, Hanife Ayca Doğan İşlev, and Ozlem TOKGOZ from the Eskişehir Technical University. Title of the proceeding is "Can Social Media Data Explain Changing Urban Green Areas Uses? Eskişehir Kanlikavak Park Example." Let's listen and watch proceeding.
Hello, I am Hanife Ayca Doğan İşlev. I am a PhD student at Eskişehir Technical University. I am one of the authors of the paper titled "Can Social Media Data Explain Changing Urban Green Areas Uses? Eskişehir Kanlikavak Park Example." The infectious disease called COVID-19 spread around the world in a short time and caused a pandemic. Measures were taken to reduce the pandemic and protect the public. The use of public spaces was reduced and users were directed to open spaces where they could pay attention to social distancing rules. Especially urban green area spaces had a special position this period. With the restrictions during the pandemic period, it has become difficult to conduct fieldwork in these areas. This has led researchers to analyze social media data. Social media is a means of avoiding physical contact, and relationships with urban spaces can be constructed through these social platforms. In order to comprehensively evaluate the effects of the pandemic period on the perception of urbanities, it is important to investigate the changes that emerge with the effects of the pandemic period. Kanlikavak Park, which is an important area for Eskişehir, has been identified as the field area. The park is used by urbanities of all ages. The park is used for many purposes, such as sports activities, entertainment, and recreation. The functional and user diversity of the area emphasizes the importance of evaluating the area. This research, Twitter was used for the research. 1 year periods, pre-pandemic and during the pandemic were analyzed. Tweets are sorted chronologically. All tweets were categorized by 3 researchers. In vivo 12 software was used for qualitative research. Researchers' categories were evaluated by 1 independent reviewer. In order to observe the change in habits in the use of space, key topics such as activities, physical characteristics of the space, and feelings about the space were identified. The study also investigated the correlation between the increase of the amounts of tweets and various factors such as weather conditions, holiday events, and COVID-19 disease increases. During this period, 363 tweets were sent on the object. In terms of activities, the desire to go to park and have a picnic comes to the forefront. In this context, cycling, playing basketball, and reading books are also among the activities. What to eat and drink in the area also discussed. Regarding the special characteristics of the space, the good weather conditions, as well as the calm and peacefulness of the space come to fore. In addition, the photos shared are accompanied by comments expressing admiration for the aesthetic appeal on the area. When it comes to emotions, the feeling of longing comes to the fore. However, in this pre-pandemic period, almost all of the tweets about longing come from former university students who have moved to other cities. There are also many tweets about happiness, joy, and peace. During this 1 year pandemic period, 1,256 tweets were sent. No correlation was found between the number of COVID-19 cases and tweets sent. During this period, tweets requesting to gather in the park were the most prominent form of the activity. A significant majority of tweets requesting a gathering depicts the hypothetical scenario where individuals would come together in the absence of ongoing pandemic. Many people met in green spaces that they found safe during the pandemic. In tweets about emotions, longing is again the most prominent emotion. But this time, it is a longing experience due to the pandemic conditions and curfews. The other prominent emotion is hope. There is also hope that these days will be behind us and everything will return to normal. Pandemic conditions have also led to increase in expressions of anger and sadness. The measures taken against the pandemic were frequently discussed in tweets during this period. The factors affected by the pandemic were emotion, space, use, and activities. Comparing the pre-pandemic and pandemic periods term of activities, we can say that activities on the ground were more diverse before pandemic. The pre-COVID-19 period encompassed a more comprehensive set of physical and social interactions. There was a notable shift in emotional experiences before and during the pandemic. An analysis of users' posts about their moods shows that the moods of the pandemic, longing, joy, sadness, and peace, accounted for 20% total of tweets. During the pandemic, more than 30% of tweets expressed various moods such as longing, joy, sadness, hope, or despair. It can be observed that there has been a proportional increase in mood expression during the pandemic. It can be said that posts related to feeling of longing were predominant in both processes. The study demonstrated that alterations in physical environments can be monitored through the utilization of social media platforms. The study shows that social media data can provide insights into urban environments. Information can be acquired through social media platforms encompassing a wide range of information, including activities and fluctuations in emotional states. Thank you.
Hi, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. I would like to thank Hanife Ayca Doğan İşle for this interesting and valuable presentation and perfect time use. Now, it is time for the next proceeding. Our second proceeding is by Araf Oyku TURKEN from the Department of Urban and Regional Planning at Yıldız Technical University. Title of the proceeding is Potentials and Limitations of Situated Polls for Citizen Feedback in Public Space, a Micro Case in Beşiktas. Let's listen and watch the proceeding.
Hi, everyone. I'm Araf TURKEN. I'm a research assistant at Yıldız Technical University, and I'm also a PhD student at the same university. Today, I will present a paper titled Potentials and Limitations of Situated Polls for Citizen Feedback in Public Space, a Micro Case in Beşiktas. Here you can see my research flow. This research aims to understand potential and limitations of situated voting devices in public space concerning their contribution to gathering citizen feedback related to local issues. However, our case study part is limited to low-cost voting practice. Our methodology consists of two main parts. First, I will review similar studies and present public polling practices. And in the second part, it involves an experiment with a polling device located in public space in Beşiktas to collect feedback from local users. Before implementing this device, I also conducted a pilot test with a paper draft version of it, which worked with a simple counter. Here you can see our conceptual background. Public polling displays and situated voting devices are interactive methods for gathering local data. They can be physically implemented in public space through urban screens, objects using the Internet of Things, and various plugin interfaces. These devices can capture the attention of passersby in urban space and enable them to provide feedback on relevant urban issues. These voting devices typically use simple buttons, body movements, gestures, or even foot pedals to express ideas and opinions. They can be enhanced with additional features like QR scannings, remote approaches, and augmented reality practices. Here you can see some visual examples from this kind of practices. Regarding the impact of these devices on participatory process, they often function at the consultation level, implemented with simple yes, no, or multiple choice questions. In one of the related studies, Liu defined a new type of participation ladder that considered the Internet of Things, from triggering social interactions to addressing concerns. In terms of spatial impact of these kind of devices, interaction with these devices directly related to space usage and awareness of space. Especially peripheral zones and social spaces can be created by user accumulations based on interactions. In terms of behavioral impact, the polling interfaces triggers various activities such as attracting passersby, encouraging social interactions around the device, and having a honeypot effect by attracting other potential users. So now let's explore some public practices. On the image A, you can see Vote As You Go practices, which is an outdoor experiment featuring different situated practices. The first practice involves web-based surveys on an iPad, and the second is a full-body voting application on an urban screen that allows people to vote through body movements. On the image B, Poster Vote is a voting system that includes low-cost electronics and paper posters with LEDs and buttons, designed to be accessible and easy to participate in. It can be implemented on any surface and supports bottom-up approaches. However, it's criticized for not showing any survey results, which raise the transparency concerns by users. On the image C, you can see my position, which is an interactive installation. It features large projection and data visualizations that capture attention both indoors and outdoors. On the image D, you can see data on site. It's a polling and visualization system that varies the network and includes small size and spatial distributed displays. These displays also support real-time data collection. On the image E, you can see Vote with Your Feet. It's a polling tool in public space that allows users to vote by stepping on buttons on the ground. It's located at the bus stop and attracts mostly the attention of the waiting people. In the micro case part of this study, I use a polling device with a two simple button and an LCD screen that displays voting number. It works through an Arduino system, which is a microelectronic kit. The device operates with an external battery. Visually, the device is 30 to 30 centimeter box with a centralized screen. It uses simple colors, green and red, to represent positive and negative buttons. For the site selection, we conduct this experiment in a public space in Beşiktas called World Peace Park. This park offers several facilities, and during field trips, we define a local dynamic related to dog-friendly usage of the park. Based on observations, even though there are 2 leash-free zones, the park is also full of non-pet friendly stuff, such as unhygienic bird feeding area, unauthorized motorbike and cycle users, and areas where different functions are overlapped. So in our polling device, the main question is, do you consider World Peace Park as a dog-friendly environment? We situated the device on fences between leash-free zones and walking routes. Dog owners and park users could realize it. After the device preparation, people's behavior was observed to understand their reactions and interactions. As an observer, I was not involved in any interaction and took simultaneous note about interaction types of people, their follow-up actions, and triggering situations. During observations on Sunday, there was 54 passing by who did not notice the device, 16 people who visually interact but prefer not to vote, and 12 people are voted. Only 2 of them prefer to scan the QR code and give more deep feedback. Honeypot effect is seen that shows people encourage people to participate, and some people from the group manipulate voting with repetitive voting. During the observation on Monday, 43 passerby is detected. 10 people visually interact and prefer not to vote, and several people are voted. Despite scanning the QR code, 1 individual did not participate in deep feedback survey. 2 individuals engaged with the device aggressively. A teenager acted in playful interaction but manipulated the data. Comparing the pilot study and prototype, it's seen that size of the prototype is an important parameter. Almost 1 of every 3 people voted or at least visually realized the prototype's existence. Despite the promising situation in interaction rates, security problem in the pilot study, and user-based data manipulation in the main observation prevent integrating such an application into participation process without data check. As a conclusion, low-cost voting devices in urban space can support citizen feedback within limitations. Approaches requiring additional devices are less preferred, and security issues may prevent the long-term positioning of devices. Security concerns and data manipulation have been identified as one of the most critical issues in the text. For further studies, we strongly suggest that data collection in an automated way with timestamps to detect manipulation easily. And here you can see our references, and thank you for listening.
I would like to thank to all academicians for these valuable and interesting presentations. Now we have come to last step. Now it is time for look at the questions in chat box. Look at the chat box. There isn't any question. It is interesting. So there isn't any questions. But I have some questions if we have time, so we can talk about these subjects. I have a question for first proceeding. Why did you select Twitter social media? Because I think Facebook, Instagram, or other can be used, but you select Twitter. Do you have any special things for selecting for Twitter?
Thank you for question. We chose the Twitter because it's the text-based social media. We have choose the YouTube or Facebook or Instagram, but photo analysis is a different process. We choose the text-based system, because we choose the Twitter.
Okay, thank you. It is very interesting. I wonder because some of information will be shared or not. Thank you. I have another question for second proceeding. Why do you think that why nearly half of the people voting this device? It is interesting. Only half of people voting, and another not looking. Do you have any idea for this problem? Because in planning, participation is very important, but nobody looking, voting, or another thing. Do you have any idea?
In general, about participation or about the straightened voting devices? Because, like, I think that in general, the participation process are kind of a really hard processes, and lots of effort you have to give to attend in a regular way, and when we consider the participatory process with e-participatory process, also we have some limitation about e-participatory process, and in this kind of devices generally considered as a supporting tools for e-participatory processes. I know it's not that much common in Turkey, and also it's not really that much common in abroad too. These are mostly experimental studies yet, and as you can see, they are not including so complex questions, and really so rare people giving feedback with the QR. For example, I almost count more than 150 people, but only 2 of them give feedback QR, and this QR issue is more common than this kind of low-cost devices. These kind of QR surveys are more preferred by local governments than this kind of low-cost devices, but these low-cost devices kind of advantages, they're more interesting, and they can capture some passerbys. For this case, I straightened it in a public space, but for example, if we straightened this kind of device in a kind of a transport hub or maybe a bus station, we can capture more people's attention, and I think we can get answers in more local specific questions. For example, if I put this kind of device in the middle of the Kadıköy bus station and ask the people, is it safe or not? And they can even capture the, 30% of the citizens who stay in this device. It's a huge rate comparing with traditional participatory process, because it's, I know, in general, I know it's really hard process. Before this interaction stuff, I also interested with participatory approaches in my master. So I found this also topic as I'm searching for kind of new and interesting tool to boost people to participate, let's say. So yeah, I know it's not too much, but considering the site selection, it can be more effective, I guess.
Did your devices damaged by people or animal?
First pilot device damaged. The second one is not. And this is why I also add the security issues and data manipulation, because our also prototype is not work with the internet yet. It was just individual device, but it's really easy to add this kind of additional tools to Arduino systems. In the paper, give more detail about it, let's say, but it's a prototype, and so for this we continue in that way, let's say, for this proceeding. But it's maybe also it's better to select a place under the surveillance, limit this kind of damages. So maybe we have to also add kind of a site selection strategy for putting this kind of devices. It could be more effective to prevent this kind of accidents or damages, let's say.
Yeah, maybe we stole. In Beşiktas, education level is very high, so it is easy.
But I also thinking in that way, so I just put the device and left it in the first time in the pilot study. But the next day I go there, in the pilot prototype, there is nothing technological about it. It's just simple counters for the sportsman usage. But even that prototype was damaged, and I find this paper and the pieces on the trash, actually. So in the second one, I just stay there and watch everyone. Then I took back my device.
Yeah, I read. Thank you very much. I have a question for third proceeding. I wonder, because I know Perşembe and Şavşat, they have very wonderful agricultural areas. But we know that, for example, in Seferihisar, some of the agricultural areas have been planned as a residential and other urban land uses. I think in Turkey, this is very important problem because Seferihisar has very wonderful orange gardens, but all of the gardens are planned as urban areas. I think this is very important problem. What do you think about this planning problem?
Thank you, Professor, for your question. So it was actually it was my PhD thesis about, like, I studied on Çitas law policies, and I think the main reason for that in my thesis I was more like focusing on that. That's the administrative problem.
Yeah,
it's a local initiative, Çitas law, and it was it's good that local governments applied to have it. So in that sense, it's okay, because if local government do like plan in the town or in the city, then they can use these requirements of Çitas law to make it further, to improve it further. But in Turkey, as you know, there are so many stakeholders in planning.
Yeah.
So that's why, like, for example, in Seferihisar, there are many administrative actors, starting from the how to say, from the ministry, then to the agencies, development agencies, and then also city government and also municipalities. So they don't have any integration between them. So maybe the reason for that is that. But the other thing is in Çitaslo, in 5 years they are evaluating again. So if they don't succeed the projects, then they can't be anymore a Çitaslo town. So this can be maybe a kind of instrument that they have a question mark that you are not anymore a slow town or city.
Yeah, thank you very much for all colleagues. Do you have any question or anything for this season? Yeah, do you have?
My question was the same with you actually. For why did you use Twitter? I was also wondering about that. And for the second presentation, all presentations were very nice. Thank you for the contribution. For the second one, I thought maybe it's important to put the device on the related site, but also to ask a question related to the interest. So if people, for example, as I see, your question is about dog-friendly park. So if people don't have any interest with dogs, maybe they try to vandalize or they try to manipulate the product.
Yeah, I know, but maybe I missed that part. It's really park. It's kind of a not famous, but come to fore with the dog owners, and like the almost every corner, like the lots of people use that park to walk with their dogs. So that I don't know. I consider it is also kind of a characteristic of park, because like there is no that much park in the Beşiktaş. You can find leash-free zones, let's say, and even it's not leash-free zone. It's kind of a huge park with layers. So the dog owner mostly preferred, but also the regular users maybe not happy with the situations, because also there's a kind of child park on it, and also feed bird areas, and kind of it's central place that people sometimes making yoga or dancing in that area. So there is kind of a controversial usage in the park, and it's also the dogs are kind of another issue in this controversial issue. Let's say, I don't know if I could explain it, but hope it's answer for your questions. Thank you for asking.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. Now, unfortunately, I have to close this season because there isn't any question. So I would like to thank you, our colleague, for this very comprehensive and mind-opening presentations. Next season starts tomorrow. I would like to thank everyone who contributed to the Congress. Good evening. Bye.
Good evening.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.